Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, honoring the service and sacrifice of the thousands of Connecticut men and women who served in the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. This morning, we welcome David Vieira to Studio A. He is the chairman and president of the Afghanistan Iraq Veterans War Memorial Fund. It's a big name for your group and a big mission as well. Tell me how this came to be.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I guess it's like one of those famous stories, you know, a group of veterans walk into a bar and something magical happens. But no, so we were Afghanistan and Iraq veterans. We were getting together. We were talking about, you know, our time in the service, sharing war stories, things like that. And we started thinking, like, when do you think there'll be a monument in D.C. for these two wars, right? And so we did some research actually that day and realized that there wasn't one in Connecticut, and we couldn't find anything being planned in D.C. yet. So we decided, you know what happens if we just try to do it ourselves? You know, no one's making the effort now, so let's see if we can make it happen. And from that point forward, we just kind of ran with it. And now we've been about a year working on it, about 6 to 8 months of really hitting it hard with fundraising and stuff. But yeah, so we didn't want any veterans of those two theaters of conflict to, God forbid, not be around anymore for whatever reason, and not be able to see their service recognized in a real permanent way like that. So.
Sort of interesting stuff. I was reading about, you know, that first, it was at a VFW, right? Yes. And you literally jotted it down on the back of a napkin, like you said, you know, the veterans walk into a bar joke. But there is an obscure law that says that there can be no memorial in Washington until 10 years after the conflict.
Correct.
And so we'd be looking, I mean, Afghanistan, they finally pulled everyone out of there just a couple years ago. It would be a long wait. And like you said, there are people who served their country and may not be around to see that recognition.
Absolutely, yeah. It's an early 80s law or regulation. I guess at the time there was a lot of organizations around the country trying to get stuff built in the National Mall. So they put this restriction in, and one of them was for a war, you have to wait till 10 years after it officially ends for anything to be considered for the National Mall. So you're talking about 2032 now. So we weren't going to take that as an answer to the question. So.
Now, you're an Army vet, and you
Yes.
served in Afghanistan. What does it mean as a veteran? Obviously, it's nice if someone comes up and says, you know, David, thank you for your service. And obviously, you're proud to have served your country. But when there's an actual, like you said, a monument, a memorial that you can go up and stand and look at, what do you hope veterans get out of that?
I think it's tough. I think it's different for everybody, that experience. For me personally, it'll be a place I can bring my daughter and my family to kind of see the time I spent away, the sacrifices that they made, recognized as well. And I think it's a place to reflect, kind of reconnect to the things that we experienced during our time in the service.
And especially with the conflict in Iraq went on for many, many years, as did the conflict in Afghanistan. I mean, decades, really.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Yeah. So when you look at this kind of effort, when people say, oh, war memorial, do people say to you, oh, World War II, Vietnam? I mean, is it that kind of the knee-jerk reaction? Because you're talking about people who might have served just a couple years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's the initial thing. We're building a monument to, you know, for for Vietnam or World War II.
Sure.
And that's kind of, you know, part of what pushed us to do this also. Like, no one's really thinking about it. I think it's because it's so recent and the war was so long. People become, like, desensitized to it maybe, or it just becomes like it's in the background. And so, you know, I think that's what was part of what made us take the initiative to make it happen on our own.
So tell me about this effort. I had no idea how much a war memorial costs, but it turns out it's a wicked lot of money.
Yeah.
So how much money, and where are you going to put this thing?
So $250,000. We're going to do it right. We're going to do it. And it's going to be at the War Memorial in Danbury at Rogers Park. There's a series of memorials there for World War II, World War I, Korea, Vietnam. So we're going to kind of bookend that, hopefully, and add our monument.
And as far as you can tell, it's the first one in the country to recognize this conflict, these conflicts.
There's some states have done what we're doing, but there won't be, like I said, a national one until 2032. So, but this will be the first in Connecticut.
So you said $250,000. You said you're just over 100 right now is about where you're at?
Yeah, that's about where we're at, about almost halfway.
So you got some events coming up. The first one is you have a gala coming up April 22nd, so that's next Saturday. It's sold out, which is good news, but like I said to you when you sat down, if someone wants to sponsor you, you'll accept their check, right?
Oh, absolutely, please.
You want to be a sponsor for the gala. We're going to show the website in a minute. You can get some help there. But then you're still selling foursomes for your golf tournament, May 22nd, Candlewood Valley Country Club in New Milford.
Yes, sir. We've got plenty of openings for that. We're looking for sponsorships, looking for teams. You can sponsor a veteran team, too, if you're not a golfer yourself. The information's on the website with the link to purchasing your tickets.
And certainly we know so many people can say, oh, you know, my grandfather served here or a relative served there. A lot of places, and we have your website there if people want to write that down, and we'll show it again in a minute. But a lot of these are our friends, our neighbors, our Little League coaches, the guy you see at the grocery store. This is a modern day conflict where these are people that you know in your community that you can help support. Is that part of the mission?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody knows a veteran that served in Iraq and Afghanistan. It seems that way anyway. So yeah, I mean, we wanted to benefit as many people as possible, and we wanted to help as many people as possible, and the entire community, the entire state. So. Yeah, I mean, that's the goal.
Well, it is a big goal, and you know, hopefully some of our viewers pull out their checkbooks and help you get there. When are you hoping to start get a shovel in the ground? What's your goal?
Well, initially we set our bar real high, like we typically do as veterans, and was Veterans Day of this year. Unfortunately, we're kind of coming to the point of no return as far as getting that done by that date. So. Unless a miracle happens between now and the end of May, we'll most likely push it to Memorial Day instead of 2024 as our new goal.
Well, listen, $100,000 is no joke. You're almost halfway there. You have the gala, you have the golf tournament. Hopefully you'll get past the halfway mark and then keep right on rolling. We appreciate you being here. David Vieira, I'm going to read the name so I don't screw it up. The Afghanistan Iraq Veterans War Memorial Fund. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much for having me.
And if you'd like to help out to get more information on the golf tournament in May, other fundraising opportunities, maybe you just want to write a check, you can send it to David. He'll tell you where, ctafghaniraqmemorial.org. We'll have a link also on our website, WFSB.com. Hopefully you can help. It's an important cause. That is CT23 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning is next. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.